If I were the sea, I would love to see you smile at me. Walk the shore a mile with me. If I were the trees, I would love to shade you with my leaves and clean the air for you to breathe. If I were you, I would love, I would love, I would love. If I were a song, I would love to be a symphony, all together in harmony. If I were the earth, I would love to give you all that you need, but you keep taking more from me. If I were you, I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. And should it be so bad to wanna do something good when this world tries to bring me down? I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. If I were a book, I would love to educate the youth. Open minds just by telling the truth. If I were a pen, I would love to write to your friend. I'd be so proud of the love we send you. If I were you, I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. And should it be so bad to wanna do something good when this life tries to get me down? I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. If I were money, I would love to end poverty. Instead they keep on wasting me. If I were a gun, I would love to never kill anyone. Well, melt me down and make me something fun. If I were you, I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love. I would love, I would love, I would love.
Happy Mother's Day. Welcome to Hilltop Spiritual Center. My name is Andrea Matros. It is an honor, it is a blessing. I am so delighted to offer this prayer and invocation. Here we go. We are together in one light and one truth. We are together in our hearts, and it is the heart of the God-Goddess present. This presence lives in all things. She shows up as mercy and grace and forgiveness. She shows up as beauty and light and love. There is no way and no thing that she does not exist, for she exists in all things. And it is to this grace and to this beauty that I bow. I bow and know as I am that we are blessed with this gift of love, that we live this light each and every moment of our lives. It is there, it is present. May she speak her words of grace and beauty on this moment, on this day. So this service is a blessing. Know this with me true. We are lifted up to the spirit and love that circles the globe. And this light is expanding, expanding, expanding now, as we each know this. And it is to all of this and thy love that I am so deeply filled and grateful for this service, and grateful for the gifts of each and every one of us. May we be filled with love this day and share it, know it, and be it. And so it is. The reading for today is by Hazrat Inayat Khan. Love is the Divine Mother's arms. When those arms are spread, every soul falls into them. Let us take a brief journey together. And it begins like this. Strong back, soft front. Strong back, soft front. On your inhale, gather your attention. On your exhale, drop into your body. On your inhale, gather your attention. On your exhale, drop into your body. Shift your attention to your spine. Your back exemplifies equanimity, being present for whatever is unfolding right now. Strong back. Shift your attention to your chest. Rest in this willingness to be open to compassion. Soft front. Strong back, soft front, equanimity, compassion. And breathe. Breathe and breathe and breathe again. And let us put our attention on beauty. For the practice of beauty regulates and inspires. The practice of beauty. Rest in beauty. Rest in love. If you choose, put a hand on your chest. Put both hands on your chest. Tell yourself, I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. I choose that divine source of power and strength and beauty. A strong back and a soft heart is the love I choose. I choose equanimity. I choose balance. I choose the source of all things that lives in and through and as me. And as I expand, all expands into one heart and one mind and one love. I choose love. And so it is.
Hello and welcome. I want to thank Lee Coulter for his generous sharing of the gift of his music. And I particularly enjoyed today's song, and I'm sure you did as well. If I were the sea, I would see you happy. If I were a tree, I would shade you. I would clean the air for you. And then he goes on to sing, should it be so bad to want something good? I think that he's speaking or singing to the theme that we are celebrating this month, which is awakening to the energies of love. Because what he's talking about is love in action, engaged, passionate, and desiring to do good. That love is not simply a sentimental or passive thought, but it's really to get in there in the thick of things. And then Andrea gave that quote from Hazrat Inayat Khan, that love is the Divine Mother's arms. These are wonderful images for us to kind of see ourselves in. That whatever we are and whatever we do, we are engaged in this idea of love. And of course, this Sunday, May 10th, we are celebrating Mother's Day, the absolute uber celebration of what it means to be passionately and engaged and actively loving. You know, I was thinking a lot about that this week as I recall kind of a tradition that we have at our center on Mother's Day, which is at the beginning of our celebration, we have the great-great-grandmothers stand, and the great-grandmothers stand, and the grandmothers stand, and the mothers stand. And then there's all this chaos and confusion as the children go out throughout the sanctuary and give flowers to each and every one of them. And there's something poignant also, because there are some years where the great-grandmothers or the great-grandmothers or grandmothers may no longer be with us. Or sometimes mothers become grandmothers, and sometimes women become mothers. So there's this beautiful experience that begins to happen. And here we are in this virtual experience now. And so what I want to say to each of you, if you are a great-grandmother or a great-great-grandmother or a grandmother or a mother or soon-to-be mother, that in this virtual world, we see you, we honor you, and I offer you this rose as a token of our love and to commemorate this really auspicious day. And you know what's really wonderful about Mother's Day is it seems to be universal. I mean, almost every culture at every period of time takes time to take at least one day and celebrate what it means to be a mother. We all know that in our own culture, that the American experience is that Mother's Day started somewhere in the mid-19th century. But really the roots go even older than that, to 16th century England, to something called Mothering Day, which was one of the Sundays that was before Easter. And it was a tradition that everybody would return to the church or parish in which they grew up with. There they would not only be united with their mother, but with their family. Because really what a mother is someone who has a constellation around her. When I started college, I started as an anthropology major, and one of my professors, Charlotte McGowan, she used to say, it's mothers that keep the culture alive. They are the ones that keep the hearth fires lit. And there's sort of this archetypal image of the mother as the one who protects, fiercely at times, the one who keeps safe. And, to be a mother, there is a constellation of those who are dependent on you. And I was reading an article this week that really struck me, that in our nation, 1 in 5 children is food insecure. 1 in 5 children occasionally go hungry. Let that sink in. That on any given day in our nation, 1 in 5 children goes hungry. Now, I can't imagine a mother or a father, for that instance, who would sit idly by where their children are going hungry. So if this is true for the children, it means that 1 in 5 parents, or both parents, goes hungry, is insecure, is giving up meals so that their children can eat. And something that I've been talking about a lot is that we are in a time of transition, because we are living in a Big Bang universe, but we are still attached to modern or postmodern philosophies and systems and ideals that may not necessarily be giving us what we need today. And I was reading this quote the other day of Immanuel Kant, who is considered the father of modern philosophy, and situating it into the situation that we're in today with, catastrophic climate change and pandemics and food shortages and so many of the things that are happening. And he says this. He says, as far as non-humans are concerned, we have no direct duties. They are merely as means to an end, and that the end is man. And maybe it's time to rethink that model. Maybe it's time to see things differently. There's a woman by the name of Earthlee, and she writes a lot about the work of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And in one of her books about his spirituality, she says this: now that we have discovered how to see the infinitely small and the infinitely large, Teilhard stressed the need to learn to see in another third dimension, the infinitely complex, that affects the infrastructuring of all things, all events, people, processes, and relationships. And we can just marvel at these great telescopes that can look out into the starry world, and we can see evidence of the beginnings of this universe. Or the marvel of science that begins to, with microscopes, begins to look past the atom to the subatomic particles and smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's truly a marvel, is it not? But what Teilhard is suggesting is this third dimension, this new way of seeing things where everything is interconnected to everything else, and that everything is part of something greater than itself. There's a term that is used in quantum physics known as a holon. And a holon suggests that everything is complete within itself, but part of something greater than itself. An atom is complete within itself, but part of something called a molecule. A molecule is complete within itself, but part of something called a cell, an organ, a body, a species, a community, a tribe, a planet, a solar system, a galaxy, a universe, and beyond. It is the way of seeing that the divine is expressed in all creation simultaneously, and that we're all in this together, this vast and amazing and wonderful cosmic story that is still being told, and that we are part of it. And because we are part of it, in essence, because we are, as Teilhard says, evolution become intentional. It's important for us to examine what our intentions are and that we are connected. In the old model, all creation was simply seen as a backdrop to the great human drama. But this new model that we're talking about is to see humanity as intricately involved, as part of, an aspect of all that is unfolding and taking place here. And there's this Celtic prayer that I love that says, "In all created things thou art. In all created things thou art." And that is to say that everything is an image of the divine, and that wherever we look, we can see God in all things and respond accordingly. So it's no secret to those of you who know me that I am very keen on this first century Palestinian teacher and prophet. And he taught in stories so often, and there's this wonderful story, it's one of my favorites actually, where it says that a lawyer comes up to him and says, "Rabbi, what must I do to be part of this new imagination that you are talking about, this reign of the divine that you are saying is possible?" And so Jesus, of course it's Jesus, Jesus answers, he says, well, what does the Torah say? What does the law say? And to quote him, he says this, he responded, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." And Jesus in essence says, well, do that and you'll get your ticket punched. That's what you need to do. That's what will happen. If you're doing that, all's good. But the lawyer, it says, wants to justify himself. And so he says this. He says, and maybe to stumble him, he says, well, who is my neighbor? And Jesus tells the story. He says, once there was a man who was headed from Jerusalem to Jericho on the road. And he's beset by brigands who rob him and beat him and leave him for dead on the side of the road. Now imagine yourself as that person. Imagine that you are on a journey, and somewhere on that journey you are beset by brigands and thieves who rob you of everything that you have and leave you for dead. And then it says that as he's lying there, another lawyer comes by and looks at him and crosses the street. So I think about this in terms of, like people on Twitter or Facebook or other social media, who may see an injustice or an outrage of some form or another. And so they'll Twitter about it, or they'll tweak it, or they'll share it, and then they think that's enough, and on they go. Or then it says a priest comes by, somebody who is way too spiritual to get on with things like this. I have a friend of mine that lives in San Francisco, and one time she was witness to a car accident, and apparently this woman had hit, not terribly, but enough to stop traffic, had hit this person, and they were sitting there exchanging things, and the woman says to her, she says, "Are we done? I'm going to be late for my yoga class." That's the person who passes by. But then imagine that you're lying there and a Samaritan shows up. And again, this is first century Palestine. And so if you were to line up, lawyer, priest, Samaritan, who doesn't fit in? It's the Samaritan. The Samaritans were despised by this first century culture. They were barely human in the eyes of the righteous, of the well-to-do and the well-heeled. They were almost heretics. So think about it this way. Who is it that you see with less than grace? Is there somebody for one form or another that you despise? Because that's the one who shows up. And as the story goes on, Jesus says that he bends down, he tends his wounds, he takes him to an end, and essentially says to the innkeeper, "Look, take care of this guy, here's my credit card, do whatever you need to keep him good, and we'll settle this when I get back." That is the neighbor. It's the one we don't want to see as the neighbor. It's the one we don't want to listen to. That's the neighbor. In this new way of seeing, we see things as interconnected. We look in this third dimension of complexity, and we listen. And we listen not to preemptively answer, but to hear the heart of the divine. In Celtic mysticism, it says this, that all creatures in all creation is uttered into being, is spoken into being, or some say sung into being. And that if we want to learn of the divine, then we must listen to the heart of the divine in all creation, to listen to our own heart, and listen to all creation. And there we will hear the heart, the beat of the divine, the mother whose arms are spread wide and every living creature falls. And from listening, we learn to respond. And how do we respond? At the end of our celebration today, Peggy Lebo, another artist who is so generously sharing her music, does this lovely, truly lovely rendition of the prayer of St. Francis as a response to awakening to the energies of love. And what I would like to do as a closing prayer is to say this prayer. And then as you listen to it at the end of our celebration, let it awaken for you the energies of love. And it goes, "Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I might not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, in pardoning that we are pardoned, and in dying that we are born to eternal life. And so, for all of you, in particular, you who have given yourself to the expression of life, and you who are actively and passionately engaged in nurturing all creation and keeping it safe, I send you my blessings. I send you my gratitude. And I wish for you this day and every day be filled with this passion, that you awakening to the energy of love. Thank you. Thank you once again for being part of our Sunday celebration. There are so many people that are working hard, and I hope I don't forget anybody. I want to first of all thank Michelle Dixon, who has become our producer and creates the magic of these videos. I want to thank Lee Coulter and Peggy Lebo for the gift of their music, and for Gregory Douglas for providing the intro music as well. If you go to our website, you can find links to their albums, and please support them. I'd like to thank Andrea Matros for being our practitioner today, having done such a wonderful job with the guided meditation and also for our invocation. And she, like all the other practitioners, are available for support. And again, at our website, you can find their contact information. You'll also find a link to our Monday through Friday prayer circle on Zoom. And again, I want to thank each of you for your continued and generous support. We are moving through a very interesting evolutionary process, and it requires all of us to support in every way we can. And your continual and generous support is allowing this to happen. It allows our center to stay available and open, and allows us to get the message out. So you can find ways of supporting us on the website. There's Donor Box, there's PayPal, and there's also just simply mailing a check to our center. And again, thank you for liking us on Facebook and liking us on YouTube, for sharing links to our things. We are a thriving, welcoming spiritual community. And we are because we're all in this together. And thank you for being part of this really interesting and I've got to say wondrous experience. And once again, to the great-grandmothers, to the great-great-grandmothers, to the grandmothers, to the mothers, happy Mother's Day. May this day be a blessing to you, to those whom you love and receive love from. May today and this week be filled with magic, amazement, and surprise. Many, many, many blessings.
Make me an instrument of your peace and your love. Where there is hatred, I will bring love, and I will bring light to melt all this darkness away. Where there's despairing, I'll bring hope, some understanding to remind set free. Make me an instrument of your peace and your love. Where there is hatred, I will bring love, and I will bring light to melt all this darkness away. Make me an instrument of your peace and your